You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Cabral Concept. Can't wait to get started today on our Total Wellness Tuesday show. Today, we're going to be going over what happens as you begin to allow that rain barrel to fill up. So, too few of us, in my opinion, were ever taught that before you get the disease, or today we're going to talk about dementia and autoimmune-based issues and stubborn weight loss, breakdowns of metabolism, high blood pressure, high cholesterol. Before these things start to happen, we know now scientifically as how they begin to accumulate. But the problem is so few people have ever been taught this. I would venture to say that most doctors are not taught this in the American Medical Association, the academy that basically sponsors and dictates what people are taught in medical school. Even though there are great books on toxicology and there are other books out there, it's always looked at as an end-stage-based result. Once the body begins to become dysfunctional, then we say, oh, look at this. Yes, we have rheumatoid arthritis, we have Alzheimer's, we have dementia, we have Parkinson's, but we don't know how it happened. Well, the truth is that we do. We've known about this for quite some time. And we talk about it all the time as we're talking about functional medicine detoxification. So the reason why I'm bringing up today's topic is that last week I had the pleasure of taking over Tyler at Functional Foods on Instagram, his Instagram account, and I just did a short piece on detoxification. I simply showed people, his audience, that this is how the body accumulates toxins. This is the organ or organs that eliminate them. And what I didn't have time to do, because I had to do it in 10 minutes or less, is what happens if you don't properly detox. So my goal today is to simply give you maybe a little bit more ammunition in your back pocket, in a benevolent kind of way, to be able to share with people as you're getting healthier and you're doing the certain things that you're doing, why you're doing them. And I think that for yourself too reinforces positive decisions. Because sometimes we ask ourselves, is it worth it? Do I really have to worry about this? Well, I always hearken back to this. There was a great study done a couple decades ago now by the Environmental Working Group, which is a nonprofit, and they tested, it was called the 10 Americans. And I wrote about this in my book, The Rain Barrel Effect, and the video's free online. I'll try to link it up today. So why don't I do that? I'll actually embed it. I'll embed the video. So go to stephencabral.com/1117. And on today's show, I'm just going to embed that YouTube video. So I'm going to put that in my notes to embed that. Okay. What they found, and I know that I'm giving it away right now, but you're welcome to watch the video for more details, is they called these the 10 Americans. And these were actually 10 unborn children. So still growing, still inside of their mother, in the womb, in the uterus of their mother. So what they did was they actually tested the fetal cord blood, the blood going to the child, the direct link basically between the mother and the child. And what they did was they looked at just over about 400 toxins. That's it. Now, keep in mind, there are over 77,000 man-made synthetic chemicals in the environment. Most estimates now, because that's a little older, that statistic, is now well over 100,000. But what I can tell you for sure, we know it's 77,000. At least half of these cause cancer, neurological defects, dementia, Alzheimer's, etc. They tested just over 400 of these, so they only looked for 400, in that fetal cord blood. And what they found was, the highest they found was 300, and the average was just over 200. So 50% of all the chemicals they tested for were found in this fetal cord blood. That is going directly to the child. What we're essentially looking at is that we come into this world essentially toxic. And I want to try to downplay this. I don't want to make it seem as severe, but at the same time, I can't do that. And that's because I know that our world, our society, our culture is not being set up right now in a way to reward companies for making less synthetic-based products, for putting less chemicals in our environment. They're just not. And so I don't see this ever decreasing. I mean, I really don't. I wish I could say that I did. So what I'm not doing today is saying that you need a detox, you need a detox. I've talked about that before. I'm going to link up some of those shows today. So simply go to stevencabral.com/1117. All the episodes are free. I'll link them up there. I'll talk about the difference between a cleanse and a detox and fasting. I'll talk about how to maintain those, that clean body, the 4 different ways you can detox annually. I will try to link up the 20 do's and don'ts, just super simple information so you can learn this on your own. But what I'd like you to do before even listening to those previous shows is just start to look at how full your rain barrel is today. And this goes for your children as well. And you don't even sign in. There's nothing to even go to except for that one page. And just go to stevencabral.com/846. This is the same quiz from my book, The Rain Barrel Effect, which is right in there. And you can take it inside the book, or you can take it right on this page. Now, the information is completely free. The book, it might be $10 or so on Amazon, and all profits go to charity. 100% of all profits. So what I am looking to do is simply ask you to see if we can help spread this message. Because I'm not going to go through right now, again, how the body breaks all of these toxins down. What I want today's show to be about is this, is that you're being exposed on a daily basis. Even if you're trying to use the right shampoo, the right conditioner, the right moisturizers, the right SPFs, you're trying to eat organic, you're trying to do these things correct, you should do that without a doubt because you're decreasing your total toxic load. But we still live in an environment where if you're out and you were to grab an iced tea or, just an herbal-based beverage, whatever it might be, could be contaminated herbs from where they're grown, from pollution. The ice, if it was taken from tap water, is going to have chlorine. It's going to have fluoride. It's going to have aluminum potentially in it because there's a lot of aluminum in tap water. So you're looking at all these things coming in your body. Should you be overly worried? You should not. We're going to teach you why you shouldn't overly worry, okay? But also, as you're walking outside, you're going to be exposed to car fumes, VOCs, the gases, the invisible gases that you can't even see, the brake dust, especially if you live in a city or on a main street. If you're at your home, you have normal furniture, there's going to be flame retardants on those. If you travel on a plane, you're going to be exposed to flame retardants. You're going to be exposed to all sorts of different antibacterials, triclosan in toothpaste, and sometimes in antibacterial-based soaps. What I'm saying today is this. Anyone that tells you that there's no need for detoxification, that there's no need to help your body out, is simply uninformed. That's it. They're not wrong, they're not whatever, they're just uninformed. That's all there is to it. And what I want to share with you today, and again, I'll link up how your body detoxes before our previous shows, but what I want to go through right now is after the body gets a toxin into your body, what happens? That's what I want to look at it. So let's say that you get some brake dust or pesticides or something like that. What happens is this. If it's food-based, it comes in through your mouth, your body's going to absorb it. It's going to get mixed up with enzymes and hydrochloric acid and pepsin in the stomach. The liver is going to release some bile. And we hope that it just gets then removed through your stool, which is best case scenario. That's a great thing. If it moves into the bloodstream, which it can get absorbed right through the intestines into the bloodstream, now a lot of these more harmful toxins are not water soluble. Well, what does that mean? Well, let's think of it an easy way. They are fat soluble, and your body is not able to then eliminate them through the urine as a H2O-based substance, hydrogen, oxygen. It's not able to break it down and remove it through the kidneys. So it has to go back to the liver. So the liver's job is then to use the antioxidants in your body in phase 1. If I haven't already gone through this before, I apologize. I'll go through it in more detail in a future podcast. Please let me know on Instagram. Just let me know in the comments if I haven't gone through this in depth, because I'll go through phase 1 and phase 2. It's also in my book. But you're using your B vitamins, B12, folate, B2, B6. You're using vitamin E. You're using vitamin C. You're using glutathione. And what you're doing is using all of these natural antioxidants using your vitamins to take these harmful substances that you can't get out of your body. They are not going to get out of your body until your liver breaks them down to what's called a water-soluble metabolite. So it changes from a fat-soluble metabolite in what's called phase 1 or the cytochrome P450 phase. It uses enzymes to break it down in what's called an intermediary metabolite. Your body uses zinc and selenium and other powerful minerals and antioxidants because they help with free radical damage, because this is now a substance inside of your body that's actually a tremendous free radical. So it will create massive oxidation. Well, the good news is there's called a phase 2 detox. And that's where we use sulfur-based amino acids, glucuronidation it's called, conjugation in the liver, and we use things such as taurine and cysteine and sulforaphane to produce more glutathione as well. And then our body is able to break down these harmful toxins that do cause cancer and that do cause Alzheimer's, dementia, all sorts of other dis-ease in the body. And it allows it then to be removed easily through the stool, as long as you're not constipated. That's very important that you make sure that you have 1 to 2 bowel movements per day. 3 is also okay as long as it's normal bowel movements. And it can be removed through the urine, through the kidneys. Very harmlessly, does not tax the kidneys. So this is a great thing. This is how our body's meant to work. And if you're someone that exercises regularly and you sweat, it can come out through your sweat, which is great. It's also one of the reasons why if you're not able to exercise because your body's too run down, you can actually begin to do some sauna. It doesn't have to be long, doesn't have to be too hot, but as you start to sweat, even just a little bit, it will come out through the skin as well. It's not as efficient as moving it into the intestines or out through the urine, but it can still be removed from the sweat. Amazing new research actually showing that a sauna, we already knew it can get rid of heavy metals like mercury, aluminum, which is fantastic, but it's actually showing that we can now remove a lot of mold-based mycotoxins and a lot of the waste through the skin as well. So again, one more thing saunas can do for you. And the last part is, as long as it's water soluble, it can be removed slightly, not as great, but through respiratory, through exhaling, through that carbon matrix as we're breathing out. So these are all great things, and our body has set us up to do that. And so the rebuttal with most people that aren't in the functional medicine field or integrative medical field, and they haven't really looked deep into toxicology, they would say, well, your liver's doing that on a daily basis. There's no need for you to have to do a detox. And I would say, you're right. Your liver is doing that on a daily basis. There's no doubt about it. Every second of every day, your body, your liver specifically, which is under the right side of your rib cage, is filtering all of the blood in your body. So it filters, it actually takes a swipe at all the blood in your body every 6 minutes. Now, the question is, does it filter absolutely everything? And the answer to that is a resounding no, it does not. And we know that scientifically as well. How do we know that? Well, we know that because we can have people do a toxicity screen or a toxicity test. And again, I wanted to provide you with a lot of outside research that has nothing to do with what I've done in my practice for the past couple decades. What I provided you with was actually written in National Geographic. And it was one journalist who really has become a proponent of detoxification since he was not a believer. And he said, fine, test me. And he went to the world-renowned Mount Sinai Hospital in New York. And they tested him. And they found dozens of toxins in his body. And they didn't even test for that many. So after that, he realized, and he was trying to live an overall pretty healthy life, that he was accumulating these toxins as well. Again, many of which cause cognitive-based decline, and they cause cardiovascular issues because of inflammation. They can cause nervous system-based issues. They can cause weight gain, and they can cause cancer. So we look at the potential. We just have to say, all of these things are accumulating. Well, what happens as they accumulate? Because there has to be a backup in our body. Well, here's what happens. And it's quite interesting in my opinion. So we get these things called POCs, which are persistent organic pollutants. So those are environmental pollutants. We have things called volatile organic compounds, VOCs, heavy metals, pesticides. All of these things can be on our food or in our water. Easy ways that we can get them, okay? We also get exposure to other toxins from food coloring or food-based preservatives, from different types of synthetic flavorings. And then we have all the issues with beauty products that we're using, right? That aren't food-based. So when these things come into our body, our liver absolutely does try to break them down. And it does its very best. It really does. It's not saying, oh, well, I'm not going to go after that one or that one. It does. But what happens is it can't get all of them, especially since more and more chemicals are in our environment and all around us. So here's what happens, and this is I haven't talked about as much. As you begin to fill up that rain barrel, the proverbial rain barrel, our body begins to look at other places to put these toxins because it can't have them float around in your body the whole time. It can't. So what it does is it actually moves them to a lot of fat soluble or fat tissue-based areas. And I want to go over 3 of those today. And those 3 are the nervous system, your adipose tissue, which are your fat stores or your fat cells, and your brain. So your brain is about 90% fat. Now, why would your body store these toxins in fat? And the reason is actually fairly simple. Fat does not have the same cellular osmosis, the back and forth way that we do in our cells. Okay, so let me give you a little background on that. Let's just take the red blood cells, for example. Those red blood cells are going to turn over every approximately 120 days. It's weighted between 90 and 120 days. So those are always turning over. And as they break down, and they're supposed to, it's just literally apoptosis within the body. There's going to be programmed cell death after a certain number of weeks to months. And it does that for the new cycle of red blood cells to come in, and our DNA replicates, and we go through the whole process. We get new mitochondria. Well, all that's great, but our immune system and our body has to come in with a cleanup crew and clean all of that up. So luckily, it's not too toxic. It's normal cellular metabolism, because metabolism has way more to do than just burning calories, right? So that's normal cellular metabolism. Well, adipose tissue is different. And what goes into your adipose tissue does not necessarily get broke down, if ever. It gets stored there. So the fat tissue can get larger and accumulate, or it can shrink down. But for the most part, we have the same number of adipose tissue stores that can simply be enlarged. There's debate over this, whether you can add more, whether you can add more muscle, not add muscle. That's up for debate. And I'm not saying one isn't necessarily that we won't one day find that it could be true. But what we do know is we're not losing it. So we have those adipose tissue stores, unless we're literally taking it out of the body through surgery. So what happens is those fat tissue stores, namely your adipose tissue, is able to draw in toxins. Okay. So this is why it's stated in toxicology that your adipose tissue stores are 300 plus times more toxic. They store that many more toxins than your blood. And this is why I want to talk about this today. So many people feel terrible as they start to lose weight because they're having a Herxheimer-based reaction, meaning they've done nothing wrong. It's a good thing. They're losing weight. Well, it means that those fat tissues are being oxidized. What's inside of them is being broken down for fuel. And it's not just those, 9 calories we look at per gram of fat, right? It's not just stored energy. We're talking about everything else that is stored there, which is a great place for heavy metals, a great place for other toxins that will now come into your bloodstream. Well, as it moves to your bloodstream, your liver now has to try to break those down. If it's already dealing with what's normally present in your body and what it's getting on a daily basis, now it's becoming overloaded. So you might see more of those skin rashes, the brain fog, the lethargy and fatigue, the joint pain, or additional inflammation. Because these are all signs that your liver is overwhelmed. And people might say, oh, that's crazy. I can run my AST and ALT on my blood work and everything looks fine. Sure, it absolutely is, because your liver's not diseased yet. It's simply overworked. It's overwhelmed. It could be congested as all of this moves through and is being mixed into the bile as well. We'll get into bile another day and how it moves to the liver. I don't think that's not going to excite anyone for today. But what we have to understand is that our body will always find a way to survive. It's a survival. I mean, it's a survivor. It will survive on different types of diets you throw at, different types of workouts you throw at it. But what it needs is a period of cleanliness, like to literally remove a lot of these things. And the traditional, they were called natural hygienists, the traditional naturopathic doctors, they would take people out and they would do sauna-based therapy. They would do some natural spring baths. They would get into the forest and walk. They would do more rest. They would do detox-based protocols. They would allow the body to not take in necessarily more toxins. They would do fasting. And what they would do is then allow the body not to have more coming in. It's why we found now, almost 3 years ago, that the Nobel Prize in medicine went in oncology, specifically for cancer research, went to a doctor, a Japanese doctor, that essentially showed when you don't have more coming in terms of fasting, your body begins to break down harmful cells in the body, harmful toxins. And his research was specifically on cancer cells, and it's called autophagy. Well, we were talking about autophagy even before it won the Nobel Prize on the Cabral concept. And did I make it up? Of course not. These are just naturopathic-based topics and themes that have been around for, well, thousands of years. Ayurveda didn't call it naturopathy. Ayurveda didn't call it even really detoxification. They had panchakarma. They had their own ways of detoxing the body. And they didn't even have synthetic man-made chemicals 6,000 years ago. You might say a little bit with the oils they made, things like that, but not the same way. We're talking about natural-based substances. So we've always known that in order to keep the body healthy, to keep the body happy, that we need to do a cleansing-based process. We can use sauna. We can use dry brushing. We can use exercise. We can use fasting. We can do the ancient-based sweat lodges, a lot like a sauna. It's almost like a steam sauna. And we can do all of these things to ramp it up. What we also have, though, now at our disposal is working with your functional medicine doctor, doing a functional medicine detox that would simply allow your body every 12 weeks to get all the nutrients it needs, combined with fasting, to get these out of the body at a faster rate. And it actually helps to break down some of the adipose tissue. And as you're breaking down the fat, you'll have then the extra nutrients that your liver needs so that you don't have as severe a Herxheimer reaction, or you don't have one at all. And then on a daily basis, people say, oh, well, why do you want to maintain with, actually recommend just a lower level of nutritional supplements on a daily basis, a baseline. We call it our daily foundational protocols. And it's to make sure that you get the zinc and selenium and iodine and the methylated B vitamins like the methylcobalamin, the methylfolates, the paradoxal 5-phosphate for B6, right? The riboflavin. You're looking at the beta-carotene for vitamin A. You're giving your body what it needs, and then you're providing, which most people don't get, is enough cruciferous-based vegetables. So we're trying to give people more of the reduced glutathione. And the sulforaphane, which comes from broccoli extract. They're studying it right now with children with autism. They're studying it with cancer. So these are all things that you have at your disposal. So I was looking to do two things for you today. I simply wanted to show you that, in my opinion, it's no longer a choice for us to have to watch out for toxins, to try to reduce our daily load, but not become overwhelmed, to do a little bit on a daily basis to give our liver everything it needs, and then seasonally, just like they've done for thousands of years, is to do your own detox, 7 days, 14, 21, whatever works for you. If you've already done a bunch, you can just maintain with a seasonal 7-day detox. And in my opinion, and I will always say this, is that in my opinion, it does not matter to me which functional medicine detox that you use. I put up the website, drballdetox.com, or just equilibriumnutrition.com, and you can search for our detox. Look at the ingredients. If you feel there's one that's better suited for you, or you're working with a functional medicine doctor, naturopathic doctor, integrative health practitioner, then use the one that you are recommended, that you feel comfortable with. And I'm okay with that as well. What we need to do in this field of natural health is to tell people how to get well. The nutrients which the body needs in order to heal itself. There is no doctor in the world that gets a person well, that heals them. There are doctors and integrative health practitioners out there right now that help put you and your body in the position to heal. There cannot be the belief that we have magic powers and that we can just heal the body. What we do is the body, in all of its innate wisdom, knows exactly how to heal itself if we begin to help it remove the toxins and replace its deficiencies. As long as you understand that part, you get that part, then you can understand that, yes, it is the accumulation of toxins. and the breaking down of not enough of the nutrients that we need that allow for issues like Alzheimer's and cancer and autoimmune-based disease in the body. So hopefully today's podcast was helpful. Hopefully it did give you enough benevolent ammunition in that back pocket in order to tell people this is why I do what I do. This is why I'm on this health journey. This is why I'm trying to empty my rain barrel to reduce my total toxic load and keep myself and my family healthy. Hopefully that was helpful. I appreciate you tuning in as always. And if, of course, this show was helpful, please do feel free to share it with anyone else that you believe it could serve. Before you go, I wanted to ask you this question. What if I could teach you in just a couple of hours how to transform your thyroid, hormones, adrenal, cholesterol, blood pressure, blood sugar, weight loss, energy, mood, brain, pregnancy, anti-aging, or many other health-related issues? After 20 years in private practice, after seeing and overseeing 250,000 client appointments, I sincerely feel I have the real-world data and have found the answer you've been searching for. So what I've done is spent hundreds of hours of my own time refining what you need to know in order to uncover your underlying root cause health issues and then begin to rebalance the body and bring it back to a state of robust health and wellness. I'm going to teach you exactly what I do in my private practice so you can understand how you got here and now what you need to do in order to heal. You'll receive all of the important success checklists, protocols, and even ways to customize it to make the program fit your busy life. And you'll get all of this at a fraction of the price. Let me save you the time, money, energy, stress, and frustration of not knowing what to do next. Instead of reading dozens of books on the topic and seeing multiple practitioners, I will condense everything that you need to know in just a few hours of video tutorials that you can watch and listen to anywhere. Together, we will make this healing process an enjoyable one that you can take with you for the rest of your life. I wish you all of the best of health and happiness, and I hope to be able to guide you on your healing journey through my Health Results Accelerators. Simply choose the health imbalance you're currently suffering from, and by the end of today, you'll know what went wrong and how to get well again. I guarantee it. For details, head over now to stephencabral.com/courses.